October is Fire Prevention Month, and two reps from the Harrison Fire Department here, Marc, Lowery, and Clint Nichols. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. So what do you guys do? Anything special during the month of October? I know you guys do a lot of programs throughout the year, but why is this month special?
Well, this month commemorates the Great Chicago Fire. And all across the country, fire departments go out, talk to kids, adult groups. Of course, we honor that also. So far this month, we've already talked to 1,800 children and adults, and we're not done yet. We go to all the schools, middle school on down, and safety fairs. Any place they'll have us, we go preach about fire prevention.
Well, and you know, something I've always noticed with my kids is y'all go talk to them, and then they come home and tell the parents. So there's a good communication
Absolutely. You know, you preach it to those kids, and they go right home. You know, most of us, we forget it and everything, but not the kids. They go home, and we're counting on that.
They do. I mean, they
well,
do that,
you put a lasting impression on those kids. I mean, I remember when firemen came to our school on how to drop and roll and touch the door, and if you touch the doorknob, if it's hot, don't go through it, and putting towels underneath the doors, that kind of, just simple things.
What are some of the
I wouldn't have learned that. That wouldn't have retained in my head if I was taught that probably later in life. And you find that true, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of older generations, I should say, they've not had this training. So it makes it that much more important for the kids. We have access to the kids because of the schools. It's hooked around all of us up in one place. But the kids, we get to talk to 400 at a time, when we go to these schools. So it is very good.
And my parents never taught that. They never taught an exit strategy. They never did that because they probably weren't taught that in school. Right.
But absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you do teach the kids that they should do so that the adults can know too?
The most important thing that we want to teach kids and everybody is smoke detectors. We've done a good job in this country putting them up. You know what? We've done a poor job maintaining the smoke detectors.
They need to make them where they fall off the ceiling.
The battery just doesn't go dead; they fall.
They actually have those now.
Do they really?
That if you the mounting bracket, if you don't put the battery back in, it will not go back up on the bracket. I'm sure there's ways to get around that. But
really?
Yeah, that's a good design.
It's the hardest thing, and I'll admit to that. I look at the smoke detectors, and they're a fixture of the home. You put them up, you go, yeah, there it is, and then a year later, you don't even look at them.
So what should we do with our smoke detectors?
Well, first off, I want to tell you all, we've been to 3 fires in the last couple of months that either they didn't have a smoke detector or they weren't maintained. And we've had all 3 of those could have very easily been a fire death. And we want to stress that right here in our community. It doesn't have to be New York City. It doesn't have to be Los Angeles, California. Unfortunately, in our careers, we've seen fire deaths in our community. So the first thing you want to do, we're here to remind you, every October, get at least 1 new battery in that a year, or in every smoke detector year, at least 1 battery. There's been an old saying, when the clocks change the batteries, which would be two times a year, obviously. But at the very minimum, get 1 battery in there, and then talk to the family. Take a few minutes, talk to the family. Where would we get out, and where would we meet? I mean, it's very simple stuff. You've had us on before. We preach the same stuff every year,
but it doesn't change.
It works. It works, and smoke detectors work. That's the main thing. So.
Well, I think people have the concept that, I don't really need a smoke detector because I'll be awakened by the noise and the heat of the fire. Right. And the killer is not that at all, right?
The smoke is what gets.
Yeah, the carbon monoxide will kill you. Yeah,
absolutely. We're encouraging people to get carbon monoxide detectors also. And you know what? We have people ask us, well, what kind should I get? Well, you know what? You can get an inexpensive smoke detector. You can get an expensive smoke detector. It'll all be UL tested. You can look right on there if they're tested. There's some that we like better than others. For example, there's a newer version called a photoelectric that appears to be picking up smoke that much quicker. But get them in there, whatever they are. You know how much an inexpensive smoke detector costs now? $4.50. $4.50. It's the cheapest insurance I think you're ever going to find. So.
Yeah, I think at one time some of the volunteer fire departments had free smoke detectors.
Well, that was us, and we had an agreement with them
to
go
install
put on, and they
them.
worked with us on that. But another thing we've been working on this year, and I think Marc could probably talk a little bit more about than I, is we've been working with different kinds of training for our men. For example, the gas fire yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that in the paper. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this year seems like we've had a lot of unique situations come up in talking with the guys about how they want to train on. And one of those has been school bus extrication, for example. The gas, in the newspaper, the natural gas company, they was gracious enough to set us up there and do that kind of training as well. Obviously, this year we took over the airport station again, so we've been training an aircraft firefighting as well. So we've had a lot of unique things to train on this year.
Back to smoke detectors. Where is it important to have smoke detectors placed in your home? Is there any particular?
For years they told us put them in the hallway next to the bedrooms, and that's not a bad place to put them. But if you have kids, especially small kids, put them right in the room, because they've done a lot of research. Children's Hospital has done some of this research that they sleep deeper than we do, and put them right in the rooms with them. That way, there's a better chance of waking them up. And of course, now if you build a house in the city of Harrison, they're going to all be interconnected. So you have fire in the basement, they're going to go off in the bedroom.
Yeah,
okay.
and not just City of Harrison, that's a state. That's electrical code requirement. And it says that they've got to be in every sleeping area and the hallways, and then every level above or below, of course.
Now, those backed up, they're electric, but they're backed up by a battery?
Yes. Yeah, they're hardwired that runs off the electrical system, and then the battery backup like you do on the...
Yeah, now, do those batteries have to be changed too?
Yes.
Okay.
And they are interconnected. That's the nice thing, is if one goes off, it sets off every other one in the house. So it's a little different than our standalone smoke detectors where one goes off, you may not hear it in the room. It'll sound everyone. So that's a really good thing.
Now, we're going into flue fire season. That's what I call it. I know it's something that happens quite a bit. Do you still have the equipment down there that you loan out?
Absolutely, and in our area especially, that's very important because even myself, I have a wood stove at my house. Yeah, take a few minutes, come down, check it out just like you would a library book. Know the size of your flue. Usually you want it just a little bit littler than the size of your flue so it won't get stuck. Well, you can borrow the rods, the flue brush.
Yeah.
We put it in a book, keep it a day or two, bring it back for the next guy. We mark your name off. Doesn't cost a dime. And that has probably actually been one of the most successful programs that we've had. Our flue fire, since we've worked, has gone way down. Thank goodness, and we want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
But you got to also remember, let's say you got that fireplace and you don't ever use it until the power goes out. Well, plan ahead now.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to probably have some power outages in the winter. We normally do. So go ahead, work on that flue. Check it. If you're not comfortable with it, have somebody check it. You don't want to be 9 o'clock at night, no power, throwing wood in there to use this thing to keep your family warm, and it's not been used in 20
Is that a
years.
typical story? People not using a flue for a long time, or they don't clean it at the end of the season, and then they start it up, and then you've got a fire going. Right?
Yeah, that's usually the lack of maintenance of the creosote.
When the power goes out, we get scared because people are using candles. People are.
Oh, you guys get scared.
Exactly.
We get
You
scared.
start thinking,
not just in the dark. We just do that too. But okay. We worry a lot about that because people, it's survival skills, and they do whatever they can to stay warm, to get light.
Yeah.
Have a plan. Talk about it now. Have some flashlights. Have those little lanterns that work on a battery.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's usually going to be a temporary situation, obviously. So make a little plan now so you're not in 30 degree weather or less, no power, and you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, one thing that I seen in the last ice storm that really worried me, a lot of homes, is when the power go out, obviously the only thing they had in their house was a gas cook stove. And they would use a gas cook stove as heat.
Right.
Well, a gas cook stove puts off carbon monoxide, and it will eventually overtake you because it's not designed. It doesn't have a ventilation system.
And it's odorless, so you can't tell by the smell that it's bad for you.
Yeah.
We've got about a minute left. Can we talk a little about space heaters? The dangers of space heaters?
In fact, I don't know if you read in the paper, I think the chief gave an interview that we're kind of suspicious that started a fire here just the other day. People use them. Elderly people use them. All kinds of people use them. My mom uses one. Keep at a minimum of 3 feet away from anything.
Everything,
People are going to use them. I understand that. Keep them away. It emits heat. Anything that emits heat can start a fire. What we do is we'll have it out here a little ways. We trip over it. We set it back. Then it's catching furniture or the drapes on fire.
Yeah.
So just be very careful. Unplug it when you're not using it. Use some common sense.
One other thing real quick, if we've got time, I'd like to mention, and it's happened twice this week. And we had a fire just recently, last night, and the family had a family pet. And the family pet obviously is very important.
Yeah.
But we don't want people going back in after those pets. I know a lot of us. I know I've got pets that it's like your other children. But at the same time, we can't. We don't need people trying to go back in and get those.
Your safety is more important.
Yes,
right.
The people's safety, and it is unfortunate, and we feel bad for the families. But again, we want to make sure that the people are safe and out of the house.
Right.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the
fellas.
information.
Thank you.
Great information. If you have any questions, you can call down there. How can they call you?
Go ahead.
Well, you can call down to the fire station 1 at 741-6384. And any questions, fire prevention, fire safety related, myself or Clint, either one can answer those questions.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Up next, we have Richard Dix. He's going to be talking about the Ghost Walk. Stay with us.